Hello, Lance. Good to see you.
There he is. Right on time almost.
Yeah, just a minute short of what is 1 p.m. for me. But how's it going?
It is going. Kicking things
Good to hear.
off.
Yeah, it's pretty early in the morning for you, isn't it?
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, nice. Early in the morning for you, isn't it? I think, of course, the race was shortened or actually scheduled an hour earlier than usual to avoid it clashing with F1. But I just started the stream before I joined the party, so we are already on air for round 5 of the season here.
Yep, and I got one going on my channel. So welcome everyone to SRL, the 10th anniversary season, round 5 here at Austria. And Nick, I really do want to thank you for helping me out here, because I know this kind of sucks, because I know this is probably one of your favorite tracks, and unfortunately, I may or may not have to duck out. So, for those
Yeah,
wondering why
it's
Nick is with me, I'm an emergency on call for my city's water department, so I could get a call at moment's notice and have to leave, and I didn't want to leave the whole stream hanging. So, Nick's gonna join me today, and hopefully, I don't get a call. But on the event that I do, you'll still have Nick to take over the rest of the race.
yeah, it's no problem, and that's understandable, of course. Of course, when Judy calls, you're gonna have to go. And indeed, I do actually really like this track. And of course, I do always enjoy racing, but I enjoy commentating as well. And it's not, it's not too bad to fit in to do the commentary. It's on one hand, it's of course a little bit annoying to lose out on some potential points, but SRL always throws up some good racing. So I look forward to what we're gonna see today, and it's no problem. I always enjoy being in the booth and also talking with you. It's nice to actually be commentating together as well, instead of me doing it on my own, like in
Yeah, and,
Bahrain, for
and, and
example.
usually, this is a little bit better circumstance, because usually when we commentate together, it's because either you've crashed out of the race very early, or you somehow have managed to get another race suspension.
Exactly, yeah. At least that's not the case this time.
So, as I said, round 5, we're coming off of round 4. It's been a few weeks since our last race at round 4 at Coda, where Jensen Randall picked up his second pole position of the season and then backed it up with his third win of the season. Newcomer Jerome Adamaco gave him a run for his money, finishing second, just not even a car length behind, literally nose to nose. Tim Ventic, staying in the championship fight, finishes third. Sandro Dulius is the master of consistency, coming home in fourth. Oleski was fifth. Noah Smith was sixth. Noel Rosa was seventh. Vincenzo Torre was eighth. Sam Brandt putting points on the board for Red Bull in the absence of Nick was ninth. And Dion Stahl was 10th. Couple of mishaps, though. Jesper Lempinen, who actually had a really good race going in the middle of the race, ended up with a DNF. So did Max Mulder. And uncharacteristically, David Rod, very fast driver, had a DNF last week. And Nick, you weren't here last week. You were actually playing with real race cars.
Yeah, I was. Unfortunately, I wasn't driving in them, but indeed, I was invited to visit the Euro NASCAR race with the Blake Amano Race Planet team in Zolder, because Race Planet is the karting track where I work at. I've been working at for the last 3 years now almost, and that is run by the Blake Amano family, which is also very much a racing family. And yeah, the owner Michel Bleekmolen and also his son Sebastian Bleekmolen both race in the Euro NASCAR series. And then also Jeroen Bleekmolen does a lot of other motorsports. He's raced in 24 Hours of Le Mans, Bathurst 1000, 24 Hours of Nürburgring, A1 GP, everything like that. And yeah, I was invited to visit the race there, which was very nice to actually be in, part of the Race Planet team. But unfortunately, I did have to miss the SRL race at Kota last time round, which was actually a really good race. So yeah, I did manage to catch some of it and watch the last lap live in that fight with Jens Rando and Jerome. So it was definitely very exciting, but unfortunately, I had to miss that one due to actually being at the real track in Zolder.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, any chance you get to play with real race cars, I would definitely jump on that. You know me, I live right outside of Daytona, so I'm at the track a lot. So hopefully one day I'll be driving a race car around there.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Yeah, I did see you visiting Daytona a couple times, and also driving on it, didn't you? A couple years
Yeah,
ago.
we with the family car. Yeah, that was fun. Taking the kids around for a couple of laps on the road course for the NASCAR Foundation. Donated $50. They let you do a couple of laps, kind of like a parade lap around the track, following a pace car. They say you're not supposed to go above 50, but there's not a lot of people that paid attention to that rule. So I will say that they do not let you onto the banking, even though you're doing the road course. They don't let you onto the banking coming out onto NASCAR turn 2 and then 3 and 4. You got to stay on the apron, which for good reason, because the banking's so steep. It's like 33 degrees, so like you have to do like at least like a minimum of like 75 or something like that to keep the car from sliding down the track.
Yeah, that's crazy how much banking there is at Daytona, isn't it?
You know, it's different in the NASCARs because they've got the slicks, so there's a lot of grip. But like on a regular street tire, like the car will just kind of skirt its way back down. But still a lot of fun. I'm hoping next year maybe I'll take the Mustang out. We'll see how it's running. So waiting on a few more drivers before we kick off round 5. Going to do a 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race. Run down the driver lineup. Sandro Dulius finished 4th last week in the Scuderia Ferrari. Sam Brandt, Nick's teammate, finished 9th last week. Going to be in the Red Bull. Aleski in the Mercedes AMG Petronas. George Wilkes, disappointing outing for him last week, finishing 16th. He'll be in the Aston Martin. Bune in the Haas. And then a couple of newcomers here. Blix CNC, or I don't even, whatever. His name's Pablo Baz. I don't know what his gamer tag is there. And then he's going to be in the Haas. And then we've got Eric Elgersman, I believe, in the Red Bull.
Pretty close.
How would you say his last name?
Well, yeah, the Dutch way of saying it is Erik Elgersma, but I guess it's a bit difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, well, here in America, he's just Eric.
Yeah, his second name is Simon. You could also call it that.
And we've got Jensen Randall in McLaren. We've got Noel in the Sauber. And Sir Knox. Is that Noah Smith?
It is, yes.
Ivan Brito, David Rod, Tim Ventic, Dion Stahl, Vincenzo Torri. So getting ready to kick off the 18-minute short qualifying session. So, Nick, I have to ask as a driver, especially you, because you seem to run a low downforce setup a lot to begin with because you like a loose handling race car. How much downforce do you take off at this track? All of it?
No, certainly not all of it actually, because there's still quite a few high-speed corners, of course, in the middle sector. And also on this game, it's often actually faster to have pretty high downforce setups, even on tracks with a lot of straights. And yeah, I found that I really like to have quite a lot of downforce at the front on this game. And then not too much at the rear, because the handling model is very different on this year's game compared to last year. We've got the new, what they call dynamic handling model, which is really revamped the handling. Some drivers really like it, some don't. I think probably most drivers didn't really like it in the beginning. And same can be said about myself, but I actually started to like it a bit more now that I'm more in tune with it, because I did struggle a lot with it initially, and now I actually really like the feeling of the front end on this game. You can really throw the cars in. There's a lot of bite in the front end. But yeah, the back end becomes very loose, especially if you have high front aero, and the way that the back end can slide out and very quickly sort of regain grip and snap on you is a bit odd, but once you're used to it, it's not actually too bad. So yeah, I would actually still run quite a bit of downforce around this track, especially for turns 6, 7, and 8, and also 9 and 10, the penultimate and final corner. Yeah, I think you definitely don't want to strip all the aero like we see the drivers do in tracks like Monza, of course.
And it looks like the first guy out was Pablo Baz. You're a little bit more versed in the new drivers than I am. Has Pablo participated in any SRL event yet? I know this is his first one of the year.
Yeah, I think he has also driven in a couple of races last year, I believe, but we can get the stats up to see how many starts he's actually got, because he's definitely one of the newer drivers in SRL is Pablo Bess, but I've certainly seen his name appear a couple times last year.
So
In the
obviously,
Haas for this year as teammates to Borbune.
very short track. He's almost halfway through his out lap. Taking a guess, where do we see our pole position time being?
That's a very good question. I reckon, I mean, the lap times are really fast on this year's game, so we're definitely going to see lap times that are going to be very low in the 1 minutes. If I'm going to have to take a guess, I'm going to say 1 minute, maybe something like a 1 minute 4 or something.
Ooh, 104s. Well, we're going to ride along here with Pablo as he heads into turn 3. Kind of actually looking pretty good so far through the first sector. Caution flag flying in sector 3, but it looks like he's got some cars that are probably out on track, weaving their way, trying to put some heat in the tires. A little bit of a lockup on the left front as he comes down out of that corner.
Yeah, of course, because I knew that I wasn't going to be driving today, I haven't prepared anything in terms of, big moment there for Pablo Bess. But of course, I'm not really on top of the strategy and also the lap times. But yeah, if I'm going to have to take a guess now, I'm going to say the pole time is going to be a 104.3.
So Borbune is the first one
to...
Yeah, he's the first one to set a time. So we'll see what this Haas does. And wow, even with that big mistake, a 105.268 for Pablo. So even with that big wiggle in the left-handers, able to outperform his teammate.
So yeah, indeed, already both the Haas cars in the 105s.
So pick up Jensen Randall. Jensen Randall across the line, 104.033. So woo! We might see some 103s.
Oh, wow. So that is already below to what I was expecting. Of course, Jensen Randall already throwing in a 104.0. And yeah, well, with Jensen Randall now setting the tone, I think you're definitely right about possibly seeing 103s today. So we've got a former SRL driver in the live chat. You'll remember him as well, Jerome Rustic, asking why I'm actually commentating as opposed to racing. Well, yeah, situation just happened to be that we need a backup here in case Lance LeBron will have to leave the booth here for his work duties.
Yeah, good old Yor, longtime Red Bull driver and teammate of yours. Good midfield driver as we see Noah Smith crack a 104.301, so he's still 0.3 of a second off of Jensen Randall's time. David Rod with a 104.370. And looks like Eric is having a bit of struggles. He's on another invalidated lap, so he's yet to set a time, even though he's been out on track a couple of times now.
Yeah, it's really easy around this circuit to just go over the track limits and invalidate your lap. I think that's going to be a big factor in the race as well. I think it's going to be crucial for the drivers to avoid getting penalties and to avoid those track limits, because it's very easy to overstep the marks on this track.
So we see Sam Brandt come across the line at a 105.036. Good enough for 6th position so far.
And also Noah Smith with a pretty competitive lap time now into second, 104.3 in front of David Roth, the race winner from round 2 in Bahrain. Of course, he lost quite a few points in the championship due to not being there in Austin. But let's see if everyone will actually be able to break into those 103s and get ahead of Jensen.
Riding along with David Rod as he comes out of turn 3. Bit of a lockup going into that corner. He's currently 0.3 of a second off of the provisional poles position set by Jensen Randall at a 104 flat. Another big lockup on the right front. Caution flag flying in sector 2, and actually David Rod's coming up on that section. Oh, we got somebody in the grass. That would be the Red Bull. I'm guessing Sam went off into the grass there.
It is luckily to stay out of the way there in the infield.
David Rod, see if it interrupts his lap time as he comes across. And it's going to be, ooh, that's much worse, 104.450, so he can't improve his time.
Yeah, and Jensen Rando is currently on his out lap. He's got a new set of tires and he's gonna make a second attempt here in the second run to see if he can slice off some of that lap time and get into the 103s as he comes through turn 7 and 8 here in the run up towards turn 9. This very quick right-hander is weaving there to warm up the tires as he starts his second flying lap of the session.
So Jensen Randall going to take another crack at it. I think he saw his time. I think he wants to see if he can break into those 103s.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone can do it, it's certainly Jensen Randall. Very nice exit there on the exit of turn 1, using a lot of ERS there until about halfway down the straight. Into the skink, this left-hander, and then the brakes out of turn 3, braking just after the 1 on the meter board. Into third gear, he's keeping it in third there to aid the traction on the exit. Opening the ERS, using the rest of the ERS as well for this backstraight. Bit of slipstream there from that car in front of him. That's one of the Ferraris that might have gained him just a tenth or two. Very nice there in the brakes and slight lock up on the inside front, running it out wide onto the curbs. And now into this quick section of the circuit, into turn 6. Fifth gear to get the nose in. Then up to 6th again on the exit. Turn 7, reaching for the apex there. He was slightly off the curb, but he carried the momentum around the corner. Down to this short straight and then down the hill into turn 9. Chucking the car in, 7th gear corner, nearly flat out, and then into the final corner. 5th gear, very nice exit there, just about within the track limits, round towards the line. It's going to be a 103.6 for Jensen Randall.
103.661, and I don't think anybody's touching that. We'll pick up.
What a lap.
We'll pick up Tim Ventic, and he is. I don't think he's on the pace. I think he's going to start his hot lap this time by. So 103.661 provisional pole. We're picking up Tim Ventic here as he comes out of turn 1. Got the DRS slot open coming down the straightaway. Again, you got this little kink that dignifies this turn 2, even though it's not really a turn. Ooh, very slow actually heading into that corner. I think he just cost himself a lot of time in that braking section.
And also Sandro Julie is now saying that rain is on the way in live chat, so that could also definitely influence the session if the drivers won't be able to improve their laps at the end if the rain actually does fall.
Caution flag flying in sector 3. Tim Ventic looks like he was a little bit off the pace coming out of sector 1, but he's picked it up a little bit, almost the 10th in sector 2. And I gotta take a call.
That's alright. Tim Ventic there, it looked like he invalidated his lap time at the end and he's actually backing out of it. So he's not gonna improve this time round, but if the rain is actually on its way, then the drivers certainly have to be quick to set in their laps to have a time on the boards before the rain falls. 2 drivers without a lap time yet, Max Mulder and Ivan Brito, both still in the pits without a lap time. Max Mulder is actually on his out lap now. So we'll see what he can muster up here in his first flying lap. So Jensen Randall, who's actually already ego retired from the session, he is very convinced that that 103.6 is going to be good enough for pole, and he has left the session. He's just going to stay in the garage. He probably knows that the rain is about to come as well, and he probably wants to save a set and leave it as it is for this session. So Max Mulder here coming through the final corner. He's going to start his first lap of the session, but the track already looks like it's not as good as it was, and it's already very overcast, so maybe the temperatures are a little bit lower now than what it was at the start of the session, so that could definitely be a bit of a disadvantage here for Max Mulder setting his first lap so late in the session. And yeah, for some reason Ivan Brito still hasn't set a lap. I am not aware of any qualifying ban, so I'm not sure if that might have to do something for it, but even as yellow flags fly in sector 2, that's a car slow in front of Max Mulder here, the number 95, but it looks like they've sped up again and Max can continue his lap here uninterruptedly as the driver there in the Williams pulls off to the left. We'll bring up the sector times here to see if we can see how far Max is off the pace here on his lap time. He's now in sector 3, coming into the penultimate corner, into 6th gear. Interestingly, Max actually shifts down to 6th, even though Jensen Randall kept it in 7th there. out of the final corner, using the rest of the ERS up to the line. It's P14 with a 105.4. So yeah, I think the track conditions are definitely starting to deteriorate.
And crisis averted. We see rain falling, and that is probably going to do it for a lot of these guys. Ivan Brito, as you said, didn't set a time, and I'm unaware of any type of penalty that he has. But he didn't set a time, and now he's not going to be able to set a time, at least a competitive one. 6 minutes left to play in the session. The rain's starting to fall, so unfortunately the second half of this qualifying is probably going to be a little bit of a dud. We see Jensen Randall and Noah Smith have called it a day. 103.661 is going to be your pole time. David Rod's calling it a day as well. Oh, looks like Eric is in the gravel because of the wet track.
Yeah, there seems to be a bit of a pile up there in turn 8, but it looks like to have already disappeared now. And yeah, the rain is obviously starting to fall now. You can see it very clearly now as we go on board with Dion Stahl. So indeed, it looks like this is going to be the order for today's qualifying session. And no one will be able to improve with the track now starting to get wet. So it's Jensen Randall pole position with that amazing 103.661, followed by Noah Smith in the Williams, and then Tim Wentink, very solid as well in P3. There's actually been a big crash somewhere around the track, but we haven't actually called that on the live stream. But yeah, those drivers on slicks are probably starting to struggle now, and they're going to head back into the pits.
I'm actually watching George Wilkes. George Wilkes is on a flyer even in these conditions, and he's going to come across the line in 105.082. 35 thousandths of a second off of his previous time. So George still giving it his all, trying to improve his position before the track goes way, way south. You got Dion Stahls currently out on track. I don't know that he's actually attempting a hot lap, but
the fact that George Wilkes is only 300ths of a second off of his previous lap, despite the track being much worse, definitely shows that he probably had a bit of time to find.
Oh, he went full commitment into the last couple of right-handers.
Oh, good on George. Dion Stahl, he's going to abort his run and go into the pits as well. So George Wilkes is going to be the last car running. And yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to be a very exciting end to the session, and we're not going to see any fireworks for the rest of the remaining 4 minutes.
So Max Mulder is out on track. I just picked him up. He was definitely trying to put some heat into those tires. And I don't think heat in the tires is really what we need to worry about. It's the wet track. The DRS is still enabled, though, so it's not to a point where the DRS would be disabled. So Max Mulder, is he going to try it? Is he going to try a wet qualifying lap?
Yeah, maybe it's just a very brief shower. Maybe the rain is going to disappear again slightly towards the end, but I can't imagine that Max Mulder will be able to actually improve his lap time. He is definitely doing his best to warm up those tires. He's just going to have a crack here to see what he can do.
Yeah, it looks like he might take a shot at it.
Yeah, at least you're getting screen time here, being the only one on track.
Well, I mean, realistically, he'll be the only one on track. He ran a 105.436, and I'm sure he can go faster than that on a good day. I mean, why not take a chance and see if you can at least prove your position a little bit? I mean, you see the guys that are in the 105s, he really only needs 0.4 of a second. Now all of a sudden he's going to be top 10. So an interesting strategy, nothing that I would try. But what do you got to lose?
Yeah, good on him, and he was actually only 0.3 down in Sector 1, so it's not too bad. And maybe he can even slightly improve his lap time here. Oh, very much on the curves there, slight moment there on the exit. But yeah, the track conditions aren't too bad. It looks like the rain might have lightened a little bit, so it was just a brief shower, but the track is still going to be damp. Yeah, he's going to be 1.4 seconds over here in Sector 2, so it looks like the track conditions are good enough to actually improve on that 105.4.
Yeah, I think at this point it's definitely washed away any of the rubber that it had. You can see the car definitely wants to push wide coming out. Oh, and a big snap oversteer moment there. Great car control, but Max Mulder not going to be able to improve his time. A bit of a last-ditch effort, so.
Yeah, well held. I mean, at least I do appreciate him actually being on track. At least we've got something to watch as well, instead of just looking at the pit boxes. But somebody else has actually joined him out on track.
Oh, Tim Ventik's joined, but I think he's got wing damage already, so. Yeah, he's got wing damage on the outlap, so he's not going to improve his time.
And Max Mulder is off into the escape road as well there, service road on the left of the track. So both the Alpines, the only drivers on the track. But yeah, Max Mulder actually picked up a puncture somehow.
I commend Max for giving it a shot. You know, there was a very fine window there where he might have been able to improve his time a little bit, but Tim, there was no reason for Tim to come out. And now we've got Dion Stalls coming out. I want to see Dion he's also on the Reds. So I wonder if Dion's going to try and the same strategy Max did. Maybe he can improve his time. I thought for sure somebody would at least try an intermediate lap.
Yeah, interesting to see Dion Stahl out as well here, the number 19 in the Ferrari. But yeah, we can still very clearly see the rate drop, so yeah, also Dion is probably not going to be able to improve. It's going to be P15 for him. Interestingly, even Brito didn't actually set a lap. I'm not aware of any quali bans, so I'm not sure why he didn't actually opt to go out on the track, but there might be...
I picked him up a couple of times. The 2 times I picked him up, he had invalidated lap times. I don't know, maybe if he was trying a hot lap and exceeded the track limits and just couldn't get a time in, but it looks like Dion might take one last-ditch effort. And again, you're 15th. Even if you improve by a couple of tenths, that moves up your position. I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. Big slide into turn 1. Massive understeer. So the times are locked in. Jensen Randall's going to pick up his 3rd pole position in a row. We're watching Dion Stahl, and the understeer is just unbelievable at this point.
Yeah, Dion Stahl sporting the number 19 as a tribute to a former Ferrari driver, Felipe Massa, who of course used to be in the team until 2013. But yeah, big slide on the exit of turn 5. So it's not going to be an improvement for the Dutchman.
So has Sandra said anything about possible rain for the race?
No, because actually the drivers will actually not know that yet, because... Well, actually, yeah, they will, because you can actually see it on the car monitor in the garage, so I haven't heard anything about it, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be a dry race. I haven't heard anything said in live chat or anything like that. So that is qualifying wrapped up.
Cracking qualifying session for the first half, a bit lackluster in the second half, but Jensen Randall, 3rd pole position in a row at a 103.661. He's the only one to crack into the 103s. He'll be followed up by Noah Smith in 2nd, Tim Ventic. 4th for Eric. David Rod is going to be 5th. Sandro Dulia 6th. Aleski 7th. Noel 8th. Vincenzo Torre is 9th. Pablo Baz is 10th. Sam Brandt 11th. George Wilkes 12th. Bor Bune 13th. Max Mulder a disappointing 14th. Dion Stahl 15th. And then Ivan Brito, no time set for him.
So Jensen Randall, the championship leader, continuing very left off in Austin. He is leading the championship by 23 points over Tim Venting, the Season 5 champion, and it's David Roth 3rd in the standings, followed by Sam Julius. And Jamie Jägerström has actually started out the season very well in the Williams. So yeah, Randall looking to extend his championship advantage, chasing his 4th SRL championship.
I mean, we're only 4 rounds in, but yeah, Jensen Randall, I mean, we say consistency is key. I mean, Sandro is obviously one of the most consistent drivers, but unfortunately, he's also one of the most consistent drivers that does not find himself on the podium too often. Jensen finds himself at the top of the podium probably the most often. But Tim Ventic has kind of found his old championship form with this new handling dynamic that you were talking about in this game. 3 podiums so far this year for Tim Ventic. He's been the closest driver, I think, in some of these races to really give Jensen a run for his money. We did see Jerome Adamaco at Coda, though, put on a great show and definitely gave Jensen a run for his money. So things not totally locked up for Jensen. Still a lot of racing left to go this season, obviously, but it would be a sight to see for Jensen. It would also be a sight to see somebody take him down.
Yeah, definitely. And we've certainly seen races where he was beaten, of course, like David Roth and like Jerome de Marco almost in Austin. But yeah, KNG, Serp and Larch is saying someone must stop Jensen, and I agree with you. We'll see if anybody can stop him.
I don't
today,
think it's going to be this
season.
race that it happens, but I mean, a 103.6 compared to a 104.2. I don't know. Jensen just seems like he's one of those drivers that he can figure it out relatively quickly. I think maybe if Noah had a little bit more time before the rain came, he could have altered the setup a little bit or altered his lines a little bit, maybe found some time. But Jensen seems to be a very good race car driver that can figure it out right out of the bag, as opposed to some of these other guys.
Oh, big moment there for one of the Ferraris in the formation lap, nearly running into the back of Erik Elgersma. I think that was Sandro Dullis waving a little bit too much that warm up the tires. But yeah, to come back on what you said, Jensen Randall, like he's such a talented driver and he can always just find so much space and really just, pull out all the performance of the car. And, he can set amazing lap times and do it very consistently as well. He's very, very close to the level of what the esports drivers are doing on this game, and that's really impressive to see. Also unnoticed a little bit, Erik Elgersma actually qualified 4th on the grid. I didn't even really realize that, but that's a very solid qualifying effort for him, actually filling in for myself in the Red Bull there, but also the other Red Bull of Sam Brandt in P11.
You know, one thing we didn't really talk about because of the rain, but the midfield, there's a lot of cars that were 105, so you're talking probably 8th on back. You're looking 105. So the midfield battle is probably going to be really intense throughout the course of this race. So we get ready for the 5 red lights. The camera angles in this game are terrible. Lights out, time to run what you brung, and they're away in a puff of smoke, and it's a good start for Jensen Randall, Noah Smith, and Tim Bentic. Bentic trying to get to the inside of Noah Smith. They make contact, and here comes Eric, and it's going to be 3 wide as they come down the straightaway. And now Eric's up into second. He's going to try and get the move done, but Tim Bentic on the outside of Jensen Randall. And Bentic is there. He takes over the second spot. Sandro Julius is losing a couple of spots as they come down the straightaway into the next corner. Noah Smith holding off Eric for the 3rd position. And Eric's going to try and get to the inside of Noah Smith. Can't make it work. We're riding along with Tim Bentic. And there's a shuffle going on in the back. Noel and Vincenzo Torri battling for the 10th position. And all the way in the back, Ivan Brito has gone from 16th to 14th. And the top 3 cars trying to separate themselves. Top 4 now. And David Rod wants to be a part of this battle as well. The top 5 cars now trying to separate themselves. And coming around to complete the first lap of this race, a very rapid lap. And Jensen Randall obviously setting the fastest time on the first lap. He's pole position. And Eric getting to the inside of Noah Smith.
Oh, that's very close into turn 1, but he makes it stick. Erik Elgersma up into 3rd place. Although Noah Smith strikes straight back there on the outside of turn 3. It's a brief kink to the inside, but now the outside, Erik Elgersma trying to defend it, forcing him out wide there in turn 3 and defending P3 for now. But there also a great start for Jensen Randall, managing to hang on to the lead. And the top 3 now stay as they are, with Erik Elgersma up into 3rd place. David Rod now also takes advantage of Noah Smith being slightly compromised there after being shoved off by Erik Elgersma there on the exit of turn 3. So Noah Smith now loses 2 places down to P5.
Yeah, Eric pushed Noah Smith really wide coming out of 3, and that hurt his exit speed. So David Rod was able to capitalize on that. Noah Smith down into 5th. Oleski wants to try and be a part of this battle. He's 3/10ths back in the Mercedes, running in the 6th position. Pablo Baz up into 7, and he's kind of running by himself. Sandro Julius now under threat from Noel. Noel's going to try and get to the inside of Sandro Julius as they come down to the turn 1. Sandro's going to be able to hold him off. Meanwhile, this battle back at the front, the top 3 cars. We got Eric trying to get to the outside. And he's Ooh, a little bit of a lock up there from Tim Ventic as he's going to try and make a run. And they're side by side as they come out of the corner. It's a drag race down into the next right-hander. Jensen's got the advantage. And Eric's going to make a dive on the Tim. Oh, and they're going to make contact.
Really late.
Eric's going to push him wide. Tim comes back, and now they're side by side heading into the left-handers. Tim's got the more preferred line. I don't think Tim appreciated that. He gave him a little bit of a shoulder check right back to him.
And this is playing right into the hands of Jensen Randall. Tim Ventic and Erik Elgsma now fighting with each other, is allowing Jensen to escape. And if there's anything that you don't want, it's Jensen Randall escaping at the front and driving off into the distance.
Caution flag flying in Sector 2. Not sure who that was for. Must be for Sam Brandt, looks like.
Yeah, there was indeed Sam Brandt who's had a moment there in Sector 2. Erik just had a look there again up the inside of Tim Ventic. It looks like Erik is not interested in just sticking back and trying to catch back up to Jensen Randall. He wants that second place from the number 42, but he's just biding his time for now.
No, he's not. To the inside goes Erik. He's going to push Tim wide.
Now who's going to have to drive here on the back straight? They're both going to have DRS from Jensen Randall, Erik Elgsma. With that inside line, he's going to have the preferred line in the brake zone here of turn 5.
Oh, late on the brakes goes Tim. Wow. Last of the late breakers, Tim Ventic on the outside holds off Erik for the second position. And meanwhile, Jensen, I'm surprised Jensen hasn't been able to skirt away just yet. Big wiggle there for Tim Ventic coming out of that corner.
Yeah, I mean, they do, of course, have the DRS advantage, but they need to sort of stop fighting too much, because, of course, that can probably...
Oh, and Erik to the inside!
Corner. That was really late. That's a very unorthodox place to make an overtake. There's still some, but Tim Venting just about having the exit there and using a bit of ERS to stay in front. But very exciting opening few laps to the race there.
And caution flag flying in Sector 3. Looks like there might be a little bit of a shuffle going on between Dion Stahl and Max Mulder. Again, Erik to the inside of Tim Ventic. And this time, Erik's going to be able to get there. Oh, and a crossover move by Tim Ventic gets power back down.
Erik Elgsma was ahead at the Apex this time, but he compromises run a little bit. Tim Venting crawling back underneath, and now Venting is going to have the inside line here into turn 5. Venting back up at the second place with a bit of a luck up for the both of them. And also David Rod still with the watching brief very close behind.
Yeah, David Rod managed to get around Noah Smith for the 4th position. We see Pablo Bass fighting it out with Noel back for the 9th position. George Wilkes moving over Noel for the 10th position now. So Noel's dropped a couple spots in a couple corners. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of separation now back up front. Jensen Randall still out front. Tim Ventic 2nd. Erik is 3rd. David Rod is 4th. Noah Smith is 5th. And now Oleski is starting to become a portion of this battle as these top 6 cars have separated themselves over Sandro Dulius. And Sandro's been able to pull away from Vincenzo Torri for just a little bit. Pablo Bass 9th, George Wilkes is 10th, so that's your top 10 points paying positions. And a 3-second time penalty.
Poor Bune spinning it on the exit of turn 1. I just called that. He is facing the wrong way. Luckily, he avoided any damage there. But that's going to lose him a little time. Being a bit too eager there on the power, maybe taking a bit too much curve, and Poor Bune down to P14. Also, much
and Eric
very early stop.
I'm sorry, Erik Elgsma just made a big move on Tim Ventic to pass him on the outside heading into turn 4.
And now he's going to challenge Jensen Randall for the lead. Randall only 1/10 of a second in front of him. The pace is really hot for this leading group, and they're still very close together.
Oh, and Erik's going to get to the inside of Jensen Randall.
Wow, Erik Elgsma into the leader on lap 6. In round 5 of the season here at the Austrian Grand Prix. Still yet to win his first race, Erik Elgsma.
And Elgsma is trying to separate himself from Jensen Randall. Caution flag flies in Sector 2 again. Now Jensen Randall's going to have the DRS advantage as they head up into turn 1 at the top of the hill. Ooh, big wiggle for Jensen as he comes out of that corner trying to get the power down. Loses a little bit of touch. Dion Stahl and George Wilkes just swap places. Here goes Jensen Randall to the inside of Erik as they head into turn 3, and that's going to be an easy move.
Jensen Randall with the block pass there into turn 3, though Erik Elgsma might have the advantage here on the exit. The DRS flap opens. Is he going to strike straight back here into the braking zone of turn 5? Erik Elgsma up the inside, and he retakes P1 from Jensen Randall. The Red Bull and the McLaren nearly side by side into turn 6, but Erik Elgsma just holds the advantage back up into the lead. We've also got Bas van Zijp tuning in on the live chat, cheering on Erik Elgsma.
And Max Mulder is out of this race. So Max Mulder, caution flag flying in Sector 3. I don't know if he had an off or if he retired in the pits, but...
He indeed retired in the pit lane, so no safety car for that, fortunately. It looks like Max Mulder had an incident, might have picked up a lot of damage on the floor or the side or something like that and decided to call it today. So, opening up lap 8, it's still the Red Bull of Erik Elgersma leading the way. He is chasing his maiden victory in SRL. He got his first podium in Zandvoort last season and got his second podium in Spa-Francorchamps. Came pretty close to the victory there, but he is still yet to win his maiden Grand Prix. Jensen Randall to the outside of the break one into turn 3. Erik Elgersma with a defending
we've got
line.
A virtual safety car. Oh, and a 10-second penalty, severe collision.
No.
That is... I would have to see it again. That seemed a little uncalled for. I think that's a bad glitch in the game. I don't believe they made severe collision.
No, that is really not right. A 10-second time penalty. It looked like there was barely any contact. So I think the stewards will probably have a look at that, because that seems really out of the ordinary there to get a 10-second penalty. That's brutal.
Well, I think there was also a little bit of confusion when the virtual safety car came out. I believe there's a little bit of confusion as to who was in front of who when it happened, because it came out just as they were side by side coming out of 3. So I'm sure Erik is going to race like he doesn't have a 10-second penalty. And now we're back to green flag racing that quick. So I'm not sure what that virtual safety car was for. Maybe some debris. So the top 3 back out to green flag race, and there's a lot of shuffling going on in the back. Ivan Brito has made his way up into the 10th position after starting dead last and not setting a time in qualifying. So good on him for that as we watch these top 3. Now Erik is going to go back on Jensen Randall. He's got the DRS slot open. Jensen Randall's going to try and cover the inside line. Swings to the outside to try and make that apex just a little bit wider. Erik's going to get to the inside. He thought about it. He's still there. He's still there. Gets the power down, and now they're side by side as they head into the left-handers.
Oh, very well done there for Erik Elgersma, getting the run there on the outside. And I really think that a 10-second penalty is going to be removed, because that really didn't seem right. And you know, I think he's just going to race like there is no penalty, which he should, because that seemed very weird there and almost like a glitch to get such a severe penalty for such a minor bit of contact. But yeah, Erik Elgersma back into the lead, followed by Jensen Randall, and Tim Wendt gets caught up as well now. So it's a group of 4 here at the front with David Rod at the back of it in that green kick sauber.
And David Rod looking to make up for that mishap he had last time out at COTA, where he got a DNF. Very uncharacteristic of him. He's been very fast driver in the few races that he's had with SRL. And he's definitely looking to capitalize on the battling that's going on here at the front as they go side by side again. Jensen around, trying to go around the outside. He's going to get pushed wide by Erik, and now it's 3 wide as they head down the straightaway. This is very dangerous for Tim Ventic, and Tim's going to back out of it just a little bit. Jensen Randall's going to try and duck to the inside and take that position back from Erik. A big lockup on the right front. Here comes David Rod on Tim Ventic, and they don't swap positions. A lot of shuffling going back and forth, though. And Jensen able to get a good run coming out of that corner, separates himself just for the time being. A couple of car lengths over Erik. And now Erik's starting to come back as he gets a little bit of a slipstream coming down the short chute. The downhill right-handers. Here comes Erik. He's going to have the DRS advantage as they get back onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, Erik seems very racy.
He's not going to easily make this move. Wow.
It looked like he really used a lot of ERS there to get the run on Jensen Randall. He had so much overspeed there on the start-finish straight. Although now Jensen Randall's got the second bite of the cherry with the DRS on the back straight here. Randall once again to the outside. How many times have we seen this already? As Jensen Randall tries to break Erik. Oh, he goes sideways into the corner.
Cuts across the nose
on the exit. And look at that, Tim Ventic now takes advantage.
Oh, and Tim Ventic's going to go for the lead of this race. Getting the 2-for-1 deal coming out of that corner, down into turn 4. And Tim Ventic is your new race leader. Erik finds himself falling from first, second, and now all the way back into third position. And David Rod trying to figure out a way he can get around these guys and capitalize on some of this racing that's going on up front.
What a race we're seeing here at the Red Bull Wing. Tim Ventic now, for the first time in this race, taking over the lead. Followed by Jensen Randall. Erik Elgersma still in third place. He's definitely eyeing up something to get through on Jensen Randall again. We saw him have a lot of overspeed here on the start-finish line. Let's see if he's going to try and use up his ERS again here to get the run into turn 1. He's got the slipstream on the McLaren. This time he's going to look to the outside, but no way through this time. So let's see what Tim Venting can now do at the front of this race.
Jensen took a more defensive line heading into turn 1. Looks like that kind of disrupted Eric for just a second. David Rod starting to lose a little bit of ground to these guys. And now Jensen Randall's to the inside of Tim Ventic. Here comes Eric. Eric's going to try and do the Tim deal, maybe see if he can get a 2-for-1 deal coming down the straightaway. Drags the rear tires as he tries to get out of that corner. No traction. And Noel's going to pick up a 3-second time penalty in the back here. He's currently running in 8th position as we ride along with Eric, and a bit of snap oversteer for Eric as he heads into the turn 4. Down into the left-handers now. No position change just yet. We're riding on the front wing of Tim Ventic's cars. He's trying to keep pace with Jensen Randall. Jensen back out in front of this race. And Tim spent a lot of time this year looking at the back of Jensen's car. Downhill right-handers. Now Tim's going to have a little bit of a DRS advantage, but Eric, who's been very quick on this front straightaway, making a move on Tim Ventic, backs out of it just a little bit, saving that ERS and DRS for this turn 2 and 3 complex as they head down this dogleg straightaway. And now Eric's going to try and move to the outside of Tim. Tim's going to cover that. Eric moves to the inside. Thinks better of it. Oh, and a big moment there for Tim Ventic. Eric gets the power down, drags them rear wheels again. Another 3-second time penalty for Ivan Brito. We're starting to see these drivers pick up these timing penalties, and it's always a factor at the end of this race. Eric currently running in 3rd, and it looks like Tim's starting to lose a little bit of ground to Jensen Randall. And Nick, I got to ask you, as a driver, these guys have been racing really hard. These tires may be starting to fall away a little bit sooner than anticipated.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be burning through the tires a lot more racing each other like this, so I think we're going to see the first pit stop very soon. Actually, Jensen Randall is going to come in on this very lap. This is Tim Venting. That's very awkward there in the pit entry. So Jensen Randall and Tim Venting both opting for the undercut. Erik Elgersma decides to stay out. So Jensen Randall and Tim Venting will have a lap now on fresh tires, with Erik Elgersma now in clean air. Let's see if he can actually try and do the overcut, as he's probably going to pit on this lap. David Rod has followed Erik Elgersma as well. Let's see if Jensen Randall and Tim Venting now come out of the pits in any traffic, or if they're going to have a clean track to try and mitigate the undercut. Oh, a virtual safety car. That's going to actually play into the hands of Jensen Randall and Tim Venting.
Bad timing on the virtual safety car, and that is going to hurt Erik Elgersma and David Rod. Noah Smith was up to 3rd. Vincenzo Torri up to 4th, but a lot of these guys... What do you do in this situation? Do you pit as soon as possible, hoping the virtual safety car is still out by the time you get around?
Yes, that's exactly what I would do. Maybe the VSC is going to stay around just long enough for Erik and David to benefit from it. So hopefully they're going to have a bit of luck here, because Jensen Randall and Tim Venting were both still in the pit lane when the VSC got deployed. So they definitely got a bit of an advantage out of that.
Not sure what the virtual safety car was for. Don't see anybody that is out of this race other than Max Mulder, but that was earlier on. Sam Brandt still struggling in the back along with George Wilkes. George Wilkes is still in the pits, and he is going to retire from the session. So perhaps it was a George Wilkes incident that caused the virtual safety car. We now see Erik Elgersma and David Rod heading into the pits along with Noah Smith, Vincenzo Torri. We're going to pick up Dion Stahl, currently running in 5th, and it looks like he's going to dive into the pits as well. So Jensen Randall...
the 10-second time penalty was actually a stop-go, so Erik Elgersma is going to have to serve that right now. So at least there's a bit of a saving grace that he's doing it under virtual safety car, but that's going to drop him back a lot, and that's really unfortunate because, of course, with it being a stop-go, there's no way to actually remove it.
So that is a bit of a kicker. So Dion Stahl did not pit. He is the leader of this race, followed by Jensen Randall, who will be the leader of this race when Dion comes in. Tim Ventic all over the back of him. David Rod is a part of this as well. And did David Rod get his pit stop in? Yes, he did. So David Rod going to be running clean in 3rd. 3-second time penalty for Sam Brandt. Oleski currently running in 5th. We saw him pick up a time penalty speeding into the pit lane. Noah Smith 6th. Pablo Baz is battling it out with Sandro Julius for the 7th position, and then Erik Elgersma is going to be in 9th after serving that 10-second time penalty, but that is off of him at this point. As you said, nothing we can do about it. It was, and a big snap oversteer moment for Eric. Almost lost the whole car heading through the left-handers. But with that 10-second penalty done and gone, he can concentrate on the race and see if he can work his way back up front.
Yeah, Jensen Randall found his way through on Dion Staal, as has Tim Benting. So Dion now down to third. Interestingly, still staying out on that set of mediums, as David Rod now also gets the run on the Ferrari here on the back straight. So yeah, very interesting strategy there for Dion to stay out despite that virtual safety car. But let's see when he's going to come in, as Vincenzo Torre now moves up a place as he gets ahead of Alexei Kovenemi, who's into the pit. Sandro Dooley is now getting through back on the house of Pablo Bess up into 6th place. But yeah, really gutting for Erik Elgersma having to serve that 10-second penalty. That has really wrecked his race. He's already down into P8. 1.6 seconds behind Pablo Bess, so really unfortunate for Erik, bouncing it out for the lead at the start of the race. Now all the way down in 8th place as Pablo Bess gets the run back on Sandro Dooley. They're gonna go side to side here into turn 7, as Dooley tries to get him back there on the outside, just about holds the advantage, back up into 6th place for the number 69.
Meanwhile, back at the front, Tim Ventic still trying to find a way around Jensen Randall. And now David Rod gets a good run coming out of that final corner down the front straightaway. So the top 3 cars have separated themselves. Noah Smith is now getting around Dion Stahl for the 4th position. Dion Stahl is yet to pit. And Tim's getting a little bit of a run coming out of turn 1 as they head down until turn 3. And Erik Elgersma just ran the fastest lap of this race, trying to get back into this battle, even though he's all the way back in 8th position. Pablo Baz is his next target. It looks like Eric's also picked up a 3-second timing penalty, and amongst all of that, Tim Ventic back out in front of this. Jensen Randall going to have the DRS advantage as they head down into the turn 4-5 complex. Jensen can't make it work. And David Rod biding his time.
Yeah, he got the run there on Pablo Bess, made a move into turn 3 for P7, as Noel Rosso is fighting out with Ivan Brito as well for the final 2 points in this race so far. Yeah, Erik Elgersma unfortunately picked up a 3-second track limit penalty. He's now trying to get through on Sandro Dooley is here up the inside into turn 7. Very nice overtake there for the number 25. So Erik cutting his way back through the field after having to serve that penalty. He's now got a 4.3 second gap to Dion Staal in 5th place. So
Meanwhile,
still 0.2 of a second separating the top 2.
Ooh, and they almost touched Jensen Randall and Tim Ventic, and Pablo Baz is out of this race. Caution flag flying in sector 3. Not sure what happened to him. See if we can pick up Bor Bune, maybe see.
It looks like he actually retired in the pit lane as well, hasn't he?
And another 3-second time penalty for Sam Brandt. So a lot of guys retiring in the pit lane. I guess they just feel that they're not competitive and want to call it a day.
It also seems like that is what happened to Max Mulder. He actually had front wing damage, came to the pit lane, but he forgot to actually change the setting to repair it. He left it on auto, and they didn't actually renew his front wing, and he just came in to retire out of frustration the next lap he pitted. So yeah, fortunate that for Max Mulder. Oh, just ran a bit of a slider through the final corner. Renault actually made a mistake coming out of turn 1 on the previous lap, so that allowed Tim Venting to get the run. Jens Renault now takes back the fastest lap from Erik Elgersma, improves it by 3/10, 106.0, as Erik now gets through on Dion Staal for 5th place, as Dion now finally goes into the pit lane for his first stop. So Erik Elgersma now followed by Sandro Dooley. Let's see if they can close the gap down to Noah Smith in 4th place.
A little bit of a wiggle coming out of turn 3 for Jensen Randall as they head down the straightaway. Tim Ventic's going to have the DRS advantage. Swings to the outside of Jensen Randall. He's going to easily take that position. Down into the right-hander, right front, a bit of a lockup. David Rod almost had a little bit of a run coming out of that corner, but got the power down too early, back end wiggled out, and he couldn't get around Jensen Randall for that 2nd position. Vincenzo Torre and Ivan Brito battling it out. Looks like Vincenzo is going to take that 7th position away from Ivan Brito. So we continue to watch this battle up front. These top 3 cars finding little to no separation between each other. Tim Ventic, though, a 7/10 of a second lead. That might be the largest lead we've seen so far this race, is 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, Tim Ventic is certainly trying to put the hammer down, but he hasn't been able to bridge that gap to that 1 second window to actually escape himself from the DRS, so Jensen Randall and David Rod will probably be able to catch back up again here on this back straight, and especially on the back straight after turn 3. But yeah, definitely a very good pace for those top 3 drivers here, with Tim Wenting leading the way.
Oh, and Ivan Brito picks up a 3-second time penalty.
So also a very close fight for P8 between the Portuguese driver Ivan Brito and Noah Rosso, the Spaniard, in the Sauber. A nice group here with the Aston Martin of Vincenzo Toro leading the way of this group, fighting for P7.
Oh, and there goes Ivan to the inside. And Ivan Brito over Vincenzo Toro. This is a good 3-car battle here for mid-pack, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So Ivan Brito up into 7th. He's got that 3-second time penalty hanging over his head. Vincenzo Toro is the only car of these 3 that we're watching that does not have a timing penalty. Meanwhile,
yeah, I really like that.
Noel wants to be a part of this as well.
Yeah, he's also very close to the back of this train. Also, speaking of helmet designs, Senna Dooley is actually running a special white and blue helmet today, as opposed to his usual orange design, as he tries to close to the back of Erik Augsma. But yeah, Senna Dooley's with a special helmet design in celebration of the Greek National Oxy Day, which is celebrated on October the 28th, earlier this week. So that's why we see Senna Dooley's with a white and blue design instead of his usual black and orange one.
And in the midst of all of that, Jensen Randall managed to get back around Tim Ventic for the top spot. As we continue to watch this battle unfold, 0.3 of a second back to Tim, 0.3 of a second back to and lap 21 of 36 and getting ready to start lap 22.
Yeah, sorry, your mic cut out for a second there, so I thought you might have had to mute yourself there.
And a 3-second time penalty for Noah again, and Ivan Brito and Vincenzo Toro still battling it out. Whoa, and it's a 3-car battle now as we pick it up. Noel to the inside of Vincenzo.
Yeah, 2 battles going on at the same time. Tim Wenting also got Jensen Randall back there into turn 3, although Randall, with the better exit and the DRS advantage, gets him back straight away. And also David Rod there, now taking advantage of the inside into turn 4, locking up the tires there for the both of them. Side to side as they go into this quick section of the circuit. Turn 6, Wenting is going to have the inside line, and he's going to be able to defend 2nd place for now. And Jensen Randall, your new race leader again.
David Rod's been running in 3rd now for a number of laps. I don't know if he's been hoping that something would happen between the top 2 and he could capitalize on it. We saw Tim's done this a number of times this year where he just kind of rides in 2nd place or 3rd place behind Jensen, hoping for something to happen. And I think it's cost him a couple of positions at some of these other races. But today Tim's come out swinging, trying to get this lead and trying to retain this lead. It looks like David Rod, though, biding his time, hoping something's going to happen between these 2 top drivers. Meanwhile, Noah Smith is currently running in the 4th position all by his lonesome, but he's gaining a little bit of time on these guys. As we pick up Vincenzo Toro and Ivan Brito once again as they swap positions, and this is now a 4-car battle. Got Vincenzo Toro, Ivan Brito, Noel, and Oleski has found himself in the mix. 2 by 2, they go into turn 3. Vincenzo Toro is going to pick up that 7th position. Meanwhile, Ivan Brito falls back to 8th, Noel in 9th, and Oleski 10th. Riding along with Oleski, the 2 Mercedes up here in the mix of this midfield battle. Oh, and Vincenzo Toro runs a little bit wide coming out of that corner. Ivan Brito trying to capitalize on that, can't make it work. And Vincenzo Toro did great cutting through that first left-hander, separating himself from Ivan Brito. And now, Oleski trying to get to the inside of the other kick Sauber of Noel. And Oleski thought about it for a second, making a move on that downhill right-hander. Not going to be able to make it work.
Yeah, it's really only a 1-lane corner through there, but quite a few nice scraps going on here in the midfield, while the battle at the front seems to have settled down a little bit. Jensen Randall now keeping his distance to Tim Wenting, as Sandrulis gets back through on Erik Elgersma. It seems like they're going to have a duel for P5 as well. Unfortunately, they haven't managed to close that gap to Noah Smith, who's in a bit of a lonely 4th place at the moment. So it looks like 5th place is going to be the highest for now for Erik Elgersma and Sandrulis, unless we have a late safety car. As the battle continues between Ivan Brito, Noah Rosso, and Alexei Kovanemi. Alexei here looking up the inside of Noah Rosso, and meanwhile, at the same time, Ivan Brito making a move on Vincenzo Torri as well. So Brito up into 7th place, Alexei now up to 9th. He's still got the Sauber of Noah on his left here, but it looks like he's just made it stick as Vincenzo Torri just keeps in front of Ivan Brito there for P7. So a very nice scrap going on here in the midfield for 7th place.
Meanwhile, in the midst of all that, David Rod, I don't know if he's had an incident or if he's having to struggle with the grip of his tires, but he's lost 2 seconds to the leaders. So now it's Jensen Randall and Tim Ventic all by their lonesome. David Rod is almost 2.5 seconds back from that. Noah Smith gaining on David Rod. And Sandra Julius and Eric still battling it out for that 5th position as we see Tim Ventic take the top spot back from Jensen Randall here on lap 25. Meanwhile, Sandro Dulli is trying to come back on Eric, and these guys, I don't know if they're swapping positions on purpose, maybe using that DRS slipstream, maybe to try and catch Noah Smith. They're about 4.5 seconds back from Noah, but Noah's been closing the gap to David Rod, so Noah Smith potentially looking to maybe capitalize on whatever's going on with David Rod's car and maybe get that last podium spot.
Yeah, but David Rod and Noah Smith now both not having the DRS anymore. Erik Elgersma and Sandra Julius can definitely try and work together to just see if they can slightly close down that gap as Jensen Randall gets the run on Tim Venting yet again just before we break down into turn 3. So it looks like, just like we've seen many times before and like we've seen earlier this season as well, like in Bahrain, it's going to be a 2-way fight for the victory between the current SRL champion and a former SRL champion, Jensen Randall and Tim Venting. At the start of the season, Tim Venting was really keen that he was going to fight for the championship this season. Of course, he won it in season 5, and he was like, I'm going to try to win it in season 10 here. You know, Tim Venting, he is really fast, and he's nearly there. You know, he's showing today again, and he can run with Jensen Randall. He's got the pace. It just needs that final extra bit to actually defeat him.
They make the run down the short chute into the bottom hill. The top 2 right-handers back onto the front straightaway. Half a second back is Tim Ventic as we're going to hop on board with him. Got the DRS slot open, and again, David Rod falling 2.6 seconds back from this battle that he was a part of for so many laps. Tim Ventic's going to have the DRS and ERS as they come down out of turn 2 through turn 3. It's not really a turn, it's more like a kink.
I agree. It's officially classified as a turn, but yeah, you can't really call it a turn, can you?
Now can Tim get a run down here into the 4-5 complex at the bottom of the hill? He thought about it. He backs out of the gas just a little bit easier on the brakes as he gets the power back down. 0.3 of a second back. Meanwhile, Sandro Dulius still battling it out with Eric for the 5th position. Eric's got that time penalty hanging over his head. Meanwhile, Vincenzo Torri and Oleski swapping positions for the 7th spot. Vincenzo Torri does not have a timing penalty. Oleski does. And that battle's gotten separated as well, as Noel and Ivan Brito have fallen off of the pace here in the late goings as well. Very wide corner from Jensen Randall. That would have definitely scrubbed the tires a little bit. Tim Ventic with a much better run coming out of that final corner down in the front straightaway. See if he can capitalize it here on coming out of turn 1 and down the straightaway, the dog leg straightaway into turn 3. And again, Tim Ventic just running in the tire tracks of Jensen Randall. This is what I was talking about earlier. We've seen him do this a number of times this year where he just kind of runs behind Jensen Randall. He is going to try and make a little bit of a move here. It looks like Jensen might have given that one up just a little bit. And Oleski picks up another 3-second time penalty. Another 3-second time penalty as Tim Ventic has a movement there coming out of that corner.
We've also got some Tim Venting fans in the live chat cheering him on. But yeah, this is going to be like a cat and mouse game, isn't it? They're just going to try and utilize their ERS in a strategic way. And they're probably going to try and save up as much as possible for that final lap where it's all going to count. And I don't think these two are going to be able to separate themselves from each other, because with the slipstreaming and the ERS management, that's just so difficult to do. So let's see if this is going to go all the way down to the wire.
And David Rod picks up a 3-second timing penalty, even though he's driving all by himself. And it looks like Sam Brandt just came out of the pits on a fresh set of tires, so he'll be able to give one of these guys, whoever's leading, oh, he's going to let him go by. I thought he was going to give him some DRS.
Yeah, good on Sam Brandt there for pulling out of the way in time. He's had a pretty rough going in P13.
Big wiggle there for Tim as he came out of that corner. And Noah picks up another 3-second timing penalty. So even though Noah's currently running in the, I'm sorry, Noel, even though he's currently running in the 9th position, he's got multiple 3-second time penalties. And Dion Stahl doesn't have any.
Yeah, and speaking of Dion Stahl, he's just making a move on Borbune for the final point of the going. Dion Stahl into P10. Dispatches Borbune down to P11, and Ivan Brito has dropped back quite a bit now, down to P12. So yeah, Borbune has also had a pretty rough going here today, being in 11th place, qualified in P13, but at least he's still fighting for the last points paying position as he tries to chase down his compatriot in front of him.
Well, if Dion Stahl can keep it clean, he'll find himself picking up possibly another position because of Noel's multiple 3-second time penalties. And looks like Alesky has... Ooh, who's diving into the pits? Is that Alesky?
That is indeed Alexi, yes.
And he's going to throw on a fresh set of mediums. That's a bold strategy this late in the race.
Yeah, it certainly is. So that's now going to promote Dion Stahl up into 9th place, Borbune into P10. So at least a couple points on the board for these two drivers. As Tim Benton also, yet again, found his way through on Jensen Rando for the lead. I think it's all pretty irrelevant because it's all going to come down to the last lap, isn't it? They're just going to play with each other and see where their strong and weak points are. I mean, being so close together for such a long time in the race, they're definitely going to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Jensen Rando now being behind Tim Benton can study his line, study where he's strong and weak, and Tim Benton with a bit of a moment to get there on the exit of turn 1, nearly losing it. Jensen Rando once again with the DRS to the inside of the kink of turn 3 and to the outside of the brake mode into turn 4, but he's already got it done before we even get to the braking point.
So it really, it's hard to, where would you want to be on the last lap? Do you want to be the lead car or do you want to be the...
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think they're trying to sort of figure it out on their own as well. But heading on to the last lap, I think I might actually prefer to be in 2nd place just to have that DRS on the back straight. Or you can also be in front at the start of the last lap and then save a bit of ERS, let the driver behind you overtake you before turn 3 and then have the DRS for the 2nd back straight. But well, it's tough. I'm really not sure.
Oh, and looks like we've got a caution flag flying in Sector 2. That's for Sam Brandt, who's gone around in the left-handers. He was running with Jensen Randall and Tim Ventic there. He was running behind them, but he is well off the track at this point.
Yeah, he was, and also Borbune made a move on Dion Stahl, who actually lost the back end into the car of Bor, so Dion Stahl picked up a bit of front wing damage, unfortunately, there. Bor now up into P9. Looks like that is as far as he's going to get, because there's a 7-second gap to Noah Rosso. And Dion Stahl with a bit of wing damage now. He's probably going to fall into the clutches of Ivan Brito. Hopefully he can still hang on to that single point.
And Sam Brandt dives into the pits after his spin in the gravel. So working lap 32 of 36, and you brought up an interesting point that you might want to be the 2nd place car on the last lap, as we see Alesky runs the fastest lap of this race at a 106 flat. And running 2nd place on the last lap is it's almost like a NASCAR type strategy when they run a Talladega or Daytona. You don't want to be that lead car. You want to be in the slipstream, in the draft of the car in front.
Exactly, yeah. Of course, we also have the examples of circuits like Monza and Baku with long straights where you really don't want to be leading out of the final corner. Oh well, in Monza you don't want to be leading going on to the last lap, but you definitely do want to be leading out the exit of the final corner. But Erik Elgersma and Sander Dooley's working together have actually closed the gap down to Noah Smith. Erik Elgersma just got through on the British driver, but unfortunately he picked up another time penalty. So running in 4 place now, SRL is in 6th, but Erik with that time penalty has also... Noah also got the run on Dion Staal again as Noah Smith attacks Erik Elgersma into turn 3. Red Bull against Williams. SRL is just keeping it behind those two for now. Erik with a bit of wheel spin on the exit of turn 4, and Noah Smith trying to get back that 4th place again.
Oh, and he's going to try and move on the outside. We saw Erik is very good at late braking and is able to hold off Noah Smith for that position. And now Sandro Duilius finds himself in the 6th position, seeing what might happen to these guys in front of him as we see Dion Staal make a move around Noel for the 9th position. So Erik finds himself in the midst of another 3-car battle, but this time it's not for the lead of this race, it's for the 4th position. Meanwhile, Noah Smith and Sandro Duilius, neither of which have a timing penalty hanging over their head. So one of these guys could easily be looking at a 4th place finish with Erik coming across the line in front of them.
Yeah,
Erik to the top of the hill.
Sorry to interrupt.
Whoa, and a big slide for Erik as he comes out of turn 1. Noah Smith's going to have the DRS slot open, and he's going to easily be able to get to the outside of Erik. But again, Erik is such good at late braking, we've come to find out. And a big lockup from Noah Smith. They bang wheels as they head into the corner. Noah Smith gets shoved outside, and I think Erik did that to him earlier on in the race. He's going to take that position back. Now Noah Smith back to the inside as they head down the hill into the right-hander. Cuts across the nose of Erik. And Sandro, oh, another big lockup from Noah Smith. Holds on to that position. Whew. Through the left-handers.
All of the drivers on a very old set of hard tires. Of course, we do have Alexei Kovanen, who pitted very late in the race, so he's one of the few drivers still on fresh tires. He is now very close to the back of Dion Staal on a fresh set of mediums. So he might have been able to actually gain a couple places here on the final 2 laps of this race.
So back to the front of this race, Tim Ventic now 0.6 of a second back from Jensen Randall, working lap 35 of 36. And it's going to come down to the wire, folks. Jensen Randall into turn 3. Tim Ventic able to pick up a couple tenths with the DRS heading into that turn 3 area. DRS slot open again. And I'm just, what do? Do you make the move this lap, next lap? And Borbune picks up another 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, Borbune trying to defend from Alexei Kovanen, but Kovanen has got the fresher tires. He's going to go up the inside into turn 1. There's no defending for Borbune. Kovanen up into 8th place. As Erik Elgersma also found his way back through Noah Smith for P4, but of course he is probably going to lose that with this time penalty. And yeah, still 4:10 separating Jensen Randall and Tim Ventic as they come through the final quarter for the penultimate time, heading on to the last lap. Jensen Randall against Tim Ventic.
Now, does Tim Ventic have anything for Jensen here on the last lap? They head up the hill into turn 1. Tim's going to get a good run coming out of that corner. A little bit of a wiggle for Jensen, but he was able to get the power down, separates himself. Ventic's going to throw everything at him. ERS, DRS. You see the ERS being used. 70% charge right now as they head into turn 3. Big lockup and a wiggle for Tim Ventic as he went in hard and deep on the brakes, dragging the rear wheels as he tries to get the power down. He's running out of opportunities. He's going to have another shot here at the bottom of the hill. Don't think he's going to try and make it here. Bit of a lockup there. He's going to try and get to the inside. Jensen's going to run it a little wide coming out of the corner. Holds him off. Now the 2 left-handers coming up. And Tim Ventic running out of time and space to try and make something happen. Can he get to the inside of Jensen Randall? No, he's going to try and stick it on the outside, and that's off the apex. Bit of a wiggle coming out of that corner. Power down. Jensen Randall taking the inside line, taking the more defensive route. Does Tim have anything for him as they head into these 2 right-handers? To the outside.
Defensive line for Randall into the final corner. That's going to compromise his run. Tim Ventic is so close, but it's going to be Jensen Randall who wins the Austrian Grand Prix.
Once again walking away with the win. We'll pick up David Rod as he comes across the line for the 3rd position. And that's a good podium for David Rod, Noah Smith, and Erik Elgersma. I can't say his last name. Forget it. Noah Smith's going to come across 4th. Sandro's going to pick up the 5th position because of the timing penalties. Erik is going to be 6th. Vincenzo Torri managed to break away from that 4-car battle. Looks like he's going to come across the line very comfortably in 7th position.
Yeah, Dion Staal is going to come home in P9. Borbune in 10th place, still saving a single point. as the Haas driver comes across the line. It's going to be Noah Rosso in P11, followed by Ivan Brito.
Well, when
Sam
Dion
Brett in
picks up
P13.
8th position because of the timing penalties, Oleski drops to 9th.
Well, but what a race we've seen today. What a show and what a showdown between Jensen Rando and Tim Venting. What's an attempt for Venting to try there on the outside into the penultimate corner, and Rando with that really defensive line. It was really close at the end. Only 1/10 separating the two of them. But
And
it's Jensen
Dion
Rando who
Stahl.
celebrates yet another
Dion
victory.
Stahl
Dion
gets
Stahl gets the
driver of
driver
the day. Can't say I agree with that, but good for Dion. And actually, can we just make a note? It's the first time in a long time Dion Stahl did not have a timing penalty in a race.
Oh yeah, well done Dion for actually keeping it clean in terms of track limits. Maybe that's why...
So, in fact, I will give Dion Stahl driver of the day.
Yeah, we'll give him that.
So that's 2 races in a row. Jensen Randall's been able to walk away with a win, but just barely. Last time out at Coda, Jerome Adamako gave him a run for his money. This time out, it's Tim Ventic. So, again, here's your unofficial results for today's race. Jensen Randall is your winner, followed by Tim Ventic. David Rod coming home in 3rd. Noah Smith is 4th. Sandro Dulli is 5th. Eric Elsgerma is 6th. Vincenzo Torri is 7th. Dion Stahl 8th. Oleski is 9th. Borbune is 10th. Noel's 11th. Ivan Brito 12th. Sam Brandt 13th. He's the last of the cars actually running. Pablo Baz, George Wilkes, and Max Mulder, all DNFs, unfortunately for them. So, and what race do we having coming up next week?
It's going to be Barcelona, actually, for round 6 of the season.
Ooh, Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona.
Yeah, the track where I actually made my debut all the way back in Season 2 on F1 2014.
Wow. We've really aged ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually 15 years old at the time, and I'm now 23. So that shows how long I've been part of this league. And of course you have as well, because I think you only joined about a year after that to be the commentator from season 3 onwards.
Yeah, season 3, and then obviously season 4 you had your championship run, and season 5 we talked about Tim Ventic had his championship run. So, but congratulations to Jensen Randall and Tim Ventic, again keeping that championship fight pretty close. That's 4 wins in a row now for Jensen Randall, and that is going to be a 4th podium finish for Tim Ventic this year. So congratulations to those two. Be sure to follow us, like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram at SRL_F1 for any news and notes for the next race coming up. I'm Kamikaze Fox. This has been SRL Season 10, Round 5 at Austria, and we will see everybody at the next round.